Hello, and welcome back to Baby Elias's stories. We now return to Blade Runner 3, Replicant Night by K.W. Jeter. Chapter 12. Anything's possible, Deckard shrugged, feeling uncomfortable. The other man, or whatever Sebastian was now, had figured it out, at least part way. But there was no need to confirm his suspicions. If Sebastian's beloved Pris had been replicant or human, what did it matter? I've been fooled by things and people. I thought they were one way, and they turned out to be something else. It happens. I suppose so. Sebastian made a few more tinkering adjustments to the clown's gears. You're probably right, he said, nodding slowly. You've got more experience along those lines than I do. 'Cause of your being a cop, a Blade Runner and everything. That's your job, isn't it? To go around and find things that are pretending to be one way, like human, and they're really just replicants. And then what was the word? You eliminate him or something? Retire. Deckard glanced over his shoulder at the teddy bear and toy soldier, who were still huddling sullenly in the corner. I don't do that anymore. But still, it must have done things to your head, changed it, permanently. So that's how you see things. Nothing is what it seems to be. Everything's lying. Sebastian's voice turned bitter. Everyone. Maybe so, but that's my problem. Doesn't have to be yours. Sure. Bitterness shifted to self-laceration. I could just go on being a fool, an idiot. That's what everybody thinks of me anyway. Even the rep simps, when they put me in this place. They just figured I could do a job for them. Same as when I was working for Dr. Tyrell. You just do what you're told, and maybe they'll let you alone for a little while, with your silly little toys and shit. Take it easy, said Deckard. He'd seen processes like this before. The small man, or the image, or perceptual incarnation, or whatever he'd become, was undergoing a complete collapse, which didn't fit into his own plans. It's not that bad. Yeah, that's easy for you to say. You don't care. Sebastian gave him a venomous look. You're trained not to, aren't you? Like all cops. That's just the world you live in. Not that this one's any different. He pulled out the screwdriver and tucked it back into his coveralls. His eyes had become rimmed with red, as though blood were leaking into the perpetual tears. Letting the black cloth drape over the clown mannequin's workings again, Sebastian flipped some hidden switch. The device came to pseudo-life again, the head tilting back and the pudgy arms rising. The clown's high-pitched, mechanical laugh grated on Deckard's nerves. Shut that thing off. Why? Is it bothering you, Mr. Deckard? A vindictive gleam showed in Sebastian's glare. But you've got ways of taking care of things that you don't like. Why don't you just blow it away like you used to? Oops, sorry, I forgot. You don't have your gun with you. I didn't give you one when you showed up here. Well, it's too late now. Sebastian's voice had risen in pitch. competing with the noise from the mannequin, shaking back and forth with its own laughter. Maybe you can toss it out the window. That should do it, I imagine. Or you can tear it apart with your bare hands. You'd like that, wouldn't you? From the corner of his eye, Deckard saw another motion in the room. The clown's laughter, growing louder and more abrasive, seemed to have set off the rest of Sebastian's collection of toys. Things haltingly stirred to life. A ballerina with empty eye sockets elevating itself on point. A sawn-off commedia dell'arte, Puncinello grinning with malice and shaking a bell-cuffed fist at unseen enemies. The ornate howdah on the back of a miniature elephant collided with the chessboard's corner, scattering the white and black pieces across the floor. In an ornate Victorian birdcage, a mechanical nightingale trilled, its wire and silk feathers molting onto layers of age-yellowed antimacassars and cracked circuit boards. The touch of claustrophobia that Deckard had fought off before now reasserted itself, stronger and tighter. He could feel the cold sweat of panic encasing his skin. Too many things, both dead and animated, pressing around him. With his forearm, he shoved away a tottering, slack-limbed Oz scarecrow that had thrust its idiot smile into his face. The rag-garbed creature fell onto its back, waving its arms around and shedding plastic straw. Deckard edged away from it and the other toys, his cop instincts driving him toward any place where he could see what was coming toward him. All right, he held up his hands, palms outward, as though trying to ward off the chaos. Welling up in the room. Okay, just settle down. His words were directed at Sebastian. The little bastards doing all this. They were Sebastian's toys, his creation. Just shut him off. Why? Don't you want to have any fun? A malevolent delight suffused Sebastian's face. He no longer appeared childlike, a decrepit infant. His withered skin was that of an old man, a sexless, ageless being. You're my guest. You should enjoy yourself. For a second, Deckard had a flash of another wrinkled visage, another cruel, time-scorched entity, one that had gazed upon him from behind square-rimmed glasses, an owlish regard that had weighed and judged more keenly than any Voidkampf machine. That had been in another high-ceilinged room, even emptier of any human presence. The image of Eldon Tyrell's face vanished as Deckard forcibly pushed it out of his head. That's it. The miniature elephant bumped against his skin, and he angrily kicked it away. You can stop all this crap now. I've had enough. Oh, I don't think so. Not yet. We're just starting. Just starting. Behind Deckard, the toy soldier had scrambled to its feet and marched out of the corner, followed by the uniformed teddy bear. The soldier's elongated nose quivered with a feverish excitement. Fun! A sudden gust of wind blew out the nearest row of tall windows, scattering crystals of glass through the room. Deckard raised his arm, protecting his eyes from the razor-edged shards, blue-tinted in the luminous night that flooded past the tattered curtains. The candelabras and other wavering lights were extinguished, collapsing all the room's shadows into darkness. The floor buckled, gaps splitting between the scarred wooden planks, carpets sliding into rumpled corrugations beneath the sideboards and high-backed chairs. Paintings framed in tarnished gilt fell from the walls. Canvases ripped through as they were impaled upon the stiff, fingered hands of mannequins undergoing spastic-like seizures. A pegboard, the length of an entire wall section, covered with soldering irons and needle-nose pliers, folded and tore loose from its mounting bolts. It toppled across a banquet table like a two-dimensional bat, feasting on the silver bowls filled with dusty wax fruit. Deckard stumbled back against the smallest table, feeling the chessboard skid beneath his hand, a night piece digging into his palm. The room tilted as another seismic convulsion rocked the building. For a moment, as he was thrown toward the wall, he had a glimpse through a window ringed with broken glass knives of the street below and the gaping chasm that had jagged down its center. The theater marquee burst into sparks, the neon curlicues snapping loose, raking blue tendrils across the sidewalk. "Isn't this fun?" Sebastian's face had reddened into fury. He'd braced himself, spread-legged in the middle of the room, riding out the successive impacts of the quake. "Come on! You got to admit it is!" With the teddy bear wrapped around his leg, Deckard pushed himself away from the wall. He dove toward Sebastian as the bear's toothless mouth managed to chew a dry hole through the fabric of his trousers. The impact knocked Sebastian off his feet, sending him and Deckard skidding through the rubble of chess pieces and hand tools. Still warm candle wax smeared across Deckard's cheek as he trapped Sebastian's arm against his chest. The smaller man grimaced and spat, writhing futilely. Outside, the UN blimp had floated lower, the light beams from among the spiked antennae slashing through the broken windows, pulling sections of the room into bright illumination, then back to hard-edged shade. Deckard got his knee onto the other man's chest, pinning him to the floor. Another light seeped through the room's walls. Enough plaster had fallen to reveal the skeletal understructure of the building. Beyond the broken laths and support beams, the image of a smaller area, the confines of a hovel on Mars, began filtering into Deckard's perception. For a few disorienting seconds, he could see himself, his other self, the real one, sitting at the rickety table in the hovel's kitchen area. Head nodding with eyes closed, as though in sleep or drug stupor. The briefcase silent now, waiting for him to come back from wherever he had gone. More than vision, the quake rolling through the fabric of Sebastian's private universe seemed to shake the dim outlines of the hovel on Mars. The empty beaker rolled from the table and shattered on the floor. Shards of glass nicked across the back of Deckard's hand. Blood welled between his fingers and onto the shoulder of the figure struggling beneath him. The distraction had been enough for Sebastian to work one arm free, the butt of his palm shoved up against Deckard's chin with a hysteric's strength. Head pushed back, Deckard could glimpse the infused life draining out of the toys and mannequins. The clown froze, paralyzed. Laughter choked in its rubber-swaddled throat. The ballerina doll collapsed, the sequins across its meager breasts dulling to flakes of lead. Into the floor's dark, lightning cracks. The chess pieces rolled and disappeared, like crumbs swept from one of the overturned tables. Don't fade out on me, you little son of a bitch. Deckard knocked Sebastian's hand away from his face. With the same fist, he clouted the smaller man on the side of the head. I'm not done with you yet. His own breath came panting with exertion. Around him, he could feel the planes and corners of the room growing even less substantial, the illusion of their existence dissipating along with Sebastian's will to maintain them. Came here to find out something. Deckard gritted his teeth, aiming another blow with the flat of his hand. Not leaving until I do. I don't care, sobbed the other man. Sebastian's eyes squeezed shut, his wrinkled face looking even more like an aging infant's. Go ahead and kill me. I don't care. I could if I would. Don't tempt me into trying, though. The uniformed teddy bear had let go of Deckard's leg, toppling onto its back, button eyes staring lifelessly up at what remained of the ceiling. A few yards away, the bear's comrade in arms had fallen face downward, long nose skewed to one side, the point of its helmet broken off. Just shut up and listen. His brain raced in desperation, trying to figure out what to tell the weeping figure. Look, just because Pris isn't here, that doesn't mean she isn't anywhere at all. Maybe you just haven't looked for her in the right places. Huh? Sebastian rubbed his wet face with his free hand as Deckard let go of him. He scooted back and sat up. What do you mean? Come on, figure it out. Deckard knew he was talking crap, but managed to conceal it. This is where she was killed, right? I mean, right here in this building. I should know. I'm the one who did it, who blew her away, out in the real world. You think if you put this place back together here, she's going to want to hang around it? Get real. Huh? With his sleeve, Sebastian wiped his reddened nose. Never thought of that. Only natural. Deckard wasn't sure if that word applied in a private universe like this. Raising his knees, he rested his forearms on them. From the corner of his eye, he could see that the room's accelerating dissolve had been halted, perhaps even reversed. The walls, while still cracked and flaking plaster, appeared less nebulous. He could no longer see the other room, the one where his real body was sitting at the table with a briefcase on it. Maybe you haven't put the place back together yet, where Pris would be. He gestured toward one of the broken windows and the night sky beyond. How far does this go? How far? You mean the city? L.A.? Deckard nodded. Everything. All the stuff you put together for yourself here. Did you just do the street outside this building, or does it go beyond that? Gosh, I don't really know. Sebastian gazed up to the cracked ceiling, sorting through his thoughts. I never really go outside anymore. Not since the rep sims put me here. It's not like I go out walking around or anything. I just made the stuff come back that I could see from the windows. You know, what I saw when I was back in the real world. And I looked out and there was the street and everything. He got up and walked over to the nearest window. With one hand, Sebastian pushed away the rags of the curtains. Well, it's hard to tell from here. I mean just how far things go. All the other buildings on this street are so much taller. There's just kind of one angle over there where you can see some more of the city. He pointed out to the night. Doesn't look too, real or anything. Kinda fakey. Sebastian shrugged in embarrassment. Guess I sorta skimped on that part. I wasn't really paying attention. You ought to get out more, Deckard said dryly. Do you good. The room looked as if a storm had passed through it, scattering the contents. Deckard stood up, then reached down to set upright one of the little tables and the candelabra that had been on it. In the rubble on the floor was a scuffed Second World War vintage Zippo lighter. He flicked on its thin flame and lit the half-burnt candles. The wavering light drove the shadows back to the corners. Maybe you're right. Still standing at the window, Sebastian leaned toward the darkness, gaze searching across the close urban vista. About Pris. You're right. She wouldn't be here. His voice grew more excited. He turned back toward Deckard. If she came back, and she must have, I wanted her to, she would have run away from some place like this, where she got hurt so bad and all. She might have gotten away before I even got a chance to see her again. Deckard kept his silence. There was nothing more to be said to the little man, to sell the point to him. He'd lied to Sebastian, raised his hopes, just to keep him from totally dissolving his private universe. There's no Pris out there, thought Deckard. There's not even an out there. Beyond the building's walls, the UN blimp drifted slowly overhead. The enormous view screen on the blimp's side was reflected in the rows of intact window glass across the empty street. Deckard saw a fragmented image of the screen's geisha face, a smile replaced by a somber, knowing pity. I've got to go looking for her. Sebastian appeared ready to immediately rush out of the building and onto the street below. Maybe she's waiting for me. His manner became even more frantic and agitated. She might be all alone somewhere and wondering why I haven't come to be with her. Hold on. Deckard grabbed hold of the other man's shoulder as he started for the door. Wait a minute. We've still got things to talk about. The room and the surrounding building, the fabric of the pocket universe, had re-solidified, or the illusion of it had. Deckard had to remind himself that the place wasn't real. He wondered how much time he had left here. At some point, the effects of the activated colloidal suspension would wear off, flushed out of his percept system by the constant, slow percolation of his own biochemistry. For all he knew, the spoonful of the Sebastian packet that he'd ingested had already worked its way through his kidneys and was, along with its various breakdown components, ready to be pissed out. At some other time, the notion that one deity or another could reside in his bladder might have wryly amused him. Right now, he was in a hurry. Let's go! Let's go! The toy soldier, its nose still bent at an angle, tugged at Sebastian's coveralls. Right now! At the other side of the room, the reanimated teddy bear had started rooting through the objects that had been knocked loose and scattered during the quake, as though it were assembling provisions for the journey. Come on! No, Squeaker. Mr. Decker's right. Sebastian patted the soldier on the top of its helmet. He came all this way to talk with me. He's our guest, so we should treat him right. He glanced up with an embarrassed smile. I'm really sorry for what happened just now. I got kinda carried away. That's all right. I understand. The twinge of guilt sharpened underneath Deckard's breastbone, though he was careful not to let any sign show on his face. Maybe a small trace of hope moved inside his thoughts. Maybe he will find Pris out there, or something like her. I know what it's like. Well, yeah, I suppose so. Sebastian tilted his head, his wet gaze narrowing as he studied the figure in front of him. You know, though, maybe it wasn't Pris I got all wrong. Maybe it's you. What's that supposed to mean? You shouldn't have been able to just come in here and push me around like that. Sebastian spoke without rancor. He had obviously gotten used to being pushed around, one way or another. This is my world, remember? My little private universe. I'm supposed to be the deity here. If I'd wanted to bring the whole thing crashing down, I should have been able to do that, and you wouldn't have been able to stop me. At least, that's the way it's supposed to work. No, something funny's going on. He raised an eyebrow. When we were wrestling around and all, I was trying to make you disappear. Well, I was losing, wasn't I? And you just wouldn't. You're still here. That's really strange, don't you think? Deckard shrugged. I'm not an expert on these places. This is the first time I've ever been in one. Yeah, well, I live here now. This is the only place I exist, so I should know what the deal is on 'em. He slowly shook his head. I don't get it. What are you, Deckard? I don't know. What the hell's that supposed to mean? The question didn't even make sense. Is it important? Maybe not. Sebastian brushed his hands off on the front of his coveralls. Whatever. All around him, the cracks in the walls as plaster were slowly disappearing, the edges stitching themselves back together. He leaned down and pulled the ballerina doll clear of the crevice in the floor before it could close up on her leg. So, what is it you came here for? What did you want to find out? You tell me. I was sent here to see you. Sebastian nodded. Yeah, like I said. I knew you were coming. The rep simps told me you'd show up eventually. That was all part of the plan, with the baddie box and all. The briefcase, said Deckard, if that's what you mean. That's the one. You know that's baddie in there, don't you? Of course you do. It's not like he's ever exactly quiet about it. Not the one I first met, the replicant who came here, but the other one, the original, the human template. He was the one who told me to come here. He gave me the packet with your name on it. It was inside him, inside the briefcase. Deckard glanced toward one of the windows, as though some change in the night's darkness might have indicated the passage of time. And to get the stuff to mix it up, he had all the instructions. They must have briefed him pretty well. In a lot of ways, agreed Sebastian. Those rep simp guys, they're pretty sharp. Psychologically, I mean. They knew you'd take some convincing. I still do. They thought you'd trust me. Sebastian's guileless, ingratiating smile appeared again. Do you? Deckard shrugged. I don't know that either. Depends on what you tell me. All I can do is tell you the truth, or at least as much of it as I know about. That'd be a novelty. Deckard didn't bother to smile. The truth, I mean. Well, Sebastian fiddled nervously with one of the screwdrivers he took from his coveralls pocket. You can start with this. Batty wasn't lying. The Batty box, I mean, the briefcase. When he was telling you what the deal is, whatever he told you about. What was the fella's name? Something Holder? Holden. Dave Holden. Yeah, that's the guy. He's probably dead now, huh? Deckard gave a short nod. Pretty much. It was kind of a risky job they stuck him with. Taking the Batty box out to you, he must have known what the chances were. A troubled expression shaded Sebastian's face. I don't think the rep simps would have lied to him about that. If that's who he was working for. Oh no, the teary eyes went round. You don't need to have any doubts about that. That's one of the true things I'm supposed to tell you about. Convince you and everything. That's what you came here for, isn't it? For me to tell you that, so you'd know it's true. You believe me, don't you? I'm not sure. He wasn't going to admit any more than that. You could be telling the truth. I just don't know. But you've got to believe me. Sebastian's voice went up in both pitch and anxious trembling. Your old partner, that Mr. Holden, he'd gone over to the side of the rep simps and the insurgents out in the colonies and all those people. He decided that was the right thing to do, just like you did when you quit the police department, when you stopped being a Blade Runner. Deckard barked a quick laugh. When I quit the department, I didn't exactly go out and sign up with a bunch of psychotics and traitors who were all out looking to get themselves iced by the UN security squads. Maybe you would have, if you had the chance then. A shrug. I'm past caring about that. So what about Batty? What about him? Sebastian looked puzzled. He's with the rep simps as well, I take it. Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, we all are. Your old partner, David Holden, certainly was, and that's the truth. Both of Sebastian's hands rose in an appeal. Why would I lie to you about something like that? Geez, Mr. Deckard, I'm way out of the loop now. I don't even exist anymore, at least not in the world you do. So it's not like I've got something at stake in getting you to believe this. I'm like a disinterested party, sort of, anyway. I mean, I care what happens and all, so you could say I'm on the rep simp side too. You know. Deckard laughed again, softer and more ruefully. The funny thing is, I'd really like to believe you. You should. I'm telling you the truth. Sebastian's hands quivered. Look, you did me a favor just now when you told me about why Pris wasn't here and about where she might be. That gives me hope, Mr. Deckard, that I didn't have before. I was going to give up, just let this whole place disappear. And with me in it, I can do that if I want to. I don't have to exist, here or anywhere else. But I've decided to stick around because of what you told me. He stepped forward and grasped Deckard's arm. So I owe you one. I do, really. I wouldn't lie to you, especially not about the stuff you came here to find out. David Holden brought the Batty box out to you because he believed in the Rep Simpson's cause. He died for it. Now it's up to you. It's your decision about whether you should find a way to get the briefcase and the information that's inside it to the replicant insurgents out in the colonies. Deckard regarded the other man. What do you know about the data in the briefcase? Not much. Just that it's important that the insurgents get it, if they're going to have a chance of winning and being free and all. or even being allowed to live. The UN would wipe them out, exterminate them? Sebastian nodded vigorously. You bet. In a second, if they could, and they might be able to. Things really aren't going that well for the insurgents. At least that's what I picked up from the rep simps. So there's a lot at stake in getting you to carry that briefcase out to the replicants. In some ways, he let go of Deckard's arm at the same time his voice dropped. There's a lot more at stake than just the fate of the replicants out in the colonies and their rebellion. That's just the least little bit of it. A fervent gleam appeared in Sebastian's eyes. It's not just the replicants. It's humans. It's everybody. The sudden intensity of the other's voice pushed Deckard back. What are you talking about? They told me you weren't supposed to know. Sebastian squeezed his pale hands together. I wasn't supposed to tell you. About what? I promised them I wouldn't tell. But the little man was growing more visibly agitated by the second. Like I said, I owe you one. I owe you everything. Sebastian's voice suddenly began to grow fainter and fainter. It's like this. The stuff the rep simps didn't want me to tell you. It's all about the difference between humans and replicants, if there is any. Remember what Dr. Tyrell used to say? The voice had diminished to the level of a whisper. The Tyrell Corporation motto. More human than human. He didn't know how true that was. Hey, what are you doing? Deckard had leaned closer to the other man, trying to hear the words being spoken. Sebastian! He realized that he could see through the other's image, the details of the scattered toys and dolls. Even the cracked plaster of the far wall had begun to show. Layers of transparency. Each object, Sebastian object, seemed to be turning to clouded glass or mist contained in the outlines of what had been solid. You're fading out on me. Huh? Sebastian's gaze refocused as he pulled himself from his monologue. His partial image looked as though he was shouting, but the sound that emerged was barely audible. Mr. Deckard, where are you going? You can't go now. Deckard reached for the other's arm, as though he could drag Sebastian back into perceived reality. His fist closed on nothing. Sebastian's image wavered and grew fainter. It's not me, Mr. Deckard. It's you. Sebastian's faraway voice became more frantic. The stuff you took, that activated colloidal suspension stuff. It's wearing off. It's going out of your system. You're not here anymore. God damn. A wave of vertigo rolled over him. The indistinct walls and ceiling had exchanged places. From somewhere above him, Sebastian's voice called out, Wait, there's still things I gotta tell you. The ghostly form grabbed an object from the table and hurriedly thrust it toward Deckard's hands. Here, take this. A small metal box. It felt light and hollow, but real, against Deckard's palms as the rest of Sebastian's pocket universe lost its substance. He suddenly found himself toppling backward, balance lost as the floor beneath him thinned out of existence. Distance and direction vanished with all the other aspects of that world. He fell into the rapidly enfolding dark.